let's talk Oliver Rowland. Because
Yes.
my God, right? He can't put a foot wrong, right? That's the saying. He can't put a foot wrong at this precise moment. And we're worried because obviously we're not in Jakarta, but we're in Berlin. But we're worried at this point that he could wrap up the title as early as Jakarta if he carries on this form.
This is unprecedented for Formula E. We've never really kind of seen this level of dominance in FE. Yet, we saw Antonio Felix da Costa a few years ago be pretty dominant, but also it was a weird season, season six. But this is just, I didn't think we'd ever see this in FE because of the style of racing, the peloton racing. We, over the last few years with Gen 3, have seen, the last couple of years in Gen 3, have seen so many winners. Yet, he's won 4 of the first 9 rounds. He's been on the podium, I think it's like 7 times or something. He's only missed out on a place in the duels once. He started on the front row 6 times. It's like he has a 77-point lead, and I've done some maths and I put a tweet out about it. For the title to go to London, which is obviously what Effie hope is going to happen because it's a big selling point, that the racing so close it goes to the last race of the season. It's not going to happen because to be able to go to London, somebody needs to be within 58 points of him after Berlin. As things stand, he leads by 77 points. So the safe bet would be the title will be claimed in Berlin. Most likely, I think probably
Yeah.
race one in Berlin. However, if he keeps up this current form, but more importantly, his rivals keep faltering, then he only needs, if he, by the end of Jakarta, has a 116-point lead, he will win the title with 4 races remaining and win the title in the Indonesian capital, which is an interesting place to claim victory, I would have thought. I don't know what the party scene is like out there. It's a long journey home, I
Well,
suppose, in
ask
first
Aisha.
class.
She'll know. That's where she's from.
It's very
Well,
humid. It's very humid.
it's
Are you doing
you know
Jakarta?
I am not, unfortunately, because I'm
Oh, okay,
somewhere else.
fair enough.
I'm somewhere else and something very, very
I'll be
cool.
honest. I don't think you'll be missing much. I sort of walked out of the media centre and then looked like I'd run a marathon after standing around for 90 seconds.
It's
It's proper hot.
But the thing is, as well, though, is I just, I don't see this form ending from Ollie. He's literally had, Sao Paulo, he would have won as well if it weren't for the technical problem with obviously all the Nissan cars out there. He, obviously, in Miami, it was a weird one because of the whole attack mode
Yeah.
fiasco and everything. In Tokyo, that was the kind of race or the kind of weekend where if something were to go wrong, that was the place. You literally threw some of the wettest conditions we've ever had in Formula E at him,
Yeah.
and he came out of it smelling of roses. It's remarkable. But and I saw somebody, I can't remember who, and I apologize if they're watching this, who actually commented under my tweet and pointed out that they reckon Ollie will probably win next season as well. Actually, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
The pecking order is going to remain probably the exact same, given that obviously full focus will be on Gen 4. Nothing can really happen, to be honest, with the Gen 3 overcars. You can make minor tweaks, but in terms of the powertrain, that's obviously under homologations. There's not a lot you can change to the cars for Season 12, which means Nissan are still going to have probably the strongest package on the grid, which means that Ollie, who is just gelled with this car, I've never
Yeah.
seen a driver gel with a car in Formula E the way he has. So it would almost, I mean, for anybody, and I don't endorse this if you are into betting, I saw in the Eurovision chat that there was a few bets being placed. If you're a
Yeah.
betting
Well,
person, I would
Just
get
Chris.
get
it's
it
just
in
Christopher
early.
It's
Warren.
Chris.
He's just
Chris
scouts,
puts ten.
right?
Chris puts 10 bets on for a day probably. Like
Honestly, I mean, get your bets in now for Ollie to win next season and become just the second driver to not only win 2 titles in
But
back-to-back seasons, because it just feels inevitable. And it couldn't have be happening to a nicer guy, to someone who
oh yeah.
has not only had a really tough career himself. It was only a couple of years ago we thought he would maybe was done in FE with obviously what happened with Mahindra, but it's also the fact that what he does for other drivers as well. Taylor Barnard, the fine example. Taylor wouldn't be where he is today without Ollie. There are so many drivers. Arvid Lindblad is another that Ollie supports and is often with when he's not racing in FE. And it's just a very feel-good story because he's a driver who deserves success. And yeah, Jakarta's my bet. I think it's going to happen. I really do.
Yeah. To be honest with
I,
you,
I
and go on,
I have a
Peter.
very quick question. Because I didn't tune in for Saturday qualifying. Did Rowland get 3 points for pole, even
No.
though qualifying
No.
didn't happen?
No, you don't get the. No, you don't get that.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. It's just
Yeah.
it's just because I know Ollie got pole because of FP2, but I wasn't sure if he still got the points. So I thought if he did, that'd be a little bit unfair.
Yeah.
But, yeah.